We'll be out with...
Hi, how you doing?
Doing well.
Good. Hey, Officer Gates, the reason I stopped you, you didn't signal your lane change, and we're going about 15 to 18 miles an hour in a 45-mile-an-hour zone. No, you moved from the center lane over to the left lane, and you failed to signal your lane change. Okay. All right. You have your driver's license and insurance with you? Yeah, that's cool. How much have you had to drink tonight?
That's it.
What's that? I said, how much have you had to drink tonight? You don't want to answer that question? Okay. Well, I smell the overwhelming odor of alcohol coming from your vehicle. Hey, sir, I'm going to have you step out of the car for me, okay?
A member of the Loveland Police Department pulled over this man, Harris Elias, suspecting he was driving under the influence.
All right, you can just leave your phone in the car. Sure. Okay, come on back here for me. All right, man. So the reason that I asked you out of the car is obviously I could smell an overwhelming odor of alcohol. Don't fall over there. Coming from your vehicle. Your eyes are bloodshot, watery, glassy. So how much have you had to drink?
I'm not going to answer any questions.
Okay. Would you want to do some voluntary tests for me to make sure that you're safe to drive?
Nope.
Okay. All right, go ahead and turn around, face your vehicle.
Sure.
Place your hands behind your back, interlace your fingers with your palms together. Okay, so would you like to take a chemical test of your blood or your breath?
A breath test.
A breath test. Okay, just hang tight for a second. I'll be right back with you.
At the station, Elias proved he was driving unimpaired. It seems obvious he just did not trust these officers during the stop.
Not consistent with your driving actions and your mannerisms, so would you be willing to take a blood test? You're not entitled to an attorney. You have to make the decision yourself. So like I said,
What are the implications if I choose not to take it? If I refused your test, am I still under arrest since I don't have, I mean, the blood test isn't going to come back for, would you say, 5 to 6 weeks or 5 to 6 days?
6 to 8 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks.
Right.
You see what the original uploader put here. This is a crazy story, however, considering the Loveland Police Department's past, where, if you remember, they violently arrested and assaulted a 73-year-old with dementia. Then back at the station, reviewing the tape, they laughed about it. Well, maybe it isn't that surprising. With Elias's case, he told the Denver Channel the following: I was deliberate in my turn signal, trying to get out of the way of a person and not causing any conflict or any road rage or anything like that. I was just simply trying to get out of his way, Elias said. When the officer mentioned the overwhelming odor of alcohol, I knew that he was dishonest. I knew outright that it was a lie, and I was in trouble. Elias was arrested by the officer for drunk driving. However, blood test results showed Elias had no alcohol or other substances in his system at the time of the arrest. I just didn't understand how someone who was completely sober could be led away to jail and embarrassed and humiliated, he said. The lawsuit states at the time he formally arrested Mr. Elias, Officer Gates did not have probable cause to arrest him for DUI. The lawsuit also claims Gates violated Elias's right to due process and violated Loveland police policy by intentionally muting his body camera during the incident. Gates told Elias he pulled him over because he didn't signal his lane change, but Elias challenged Gates about it, according to the lawsuit, which alleges Gates said he also stopped Elias because he was driving 18 miles per hour in a 45. Elias provided his license and registration when Gates asked, but refused to answer other questions, including how much he had to drink that night and exercising his right to remain silent, according to the lawsuit, which is your right. Elias says he has been dealing with the fallout from the arrest since it happened. It has created challenges on both personal and professional levels. For instance, he's a private pilot. I faced an immense challenge with the FAA. The Federal Aviation Administration takes drinking and driving at the most extreme seriousness, as it should, he said. Every time I fill out the medical form for the FAA to get cleared to fly, I will have to disclose that I was arrested for drunk driving. After blowing zeros showing he was not impaired, Gates told Elias he then needed to take a blood test. But Elias declined and asked for an attorney, according to the lawsuit, which claims Gates ignored his request and told him he needed to take a blood test or he would revoke his driver's license. Elias reluctantly complied. About 2 months later, Elias's blood test came back negative, according to the suit. Elias's case was dismissed the following day, according to court records. However, attorney Sarah Schilke said in the lawsuit that Gates prides himself on his high DUI arrest numbers and has received awards and earned extra income because of his high number of DUI arrests. The lawsuit contends that Gates, more than any other officer at Loveland, cites failure to signal while changing lanes, though no data is provided in court documents. The lawsuit alleges Gates has wrongfully arrested at least 4 individuals for DUI in the previous year, but does not specify any cases per Westworld. The lawyer's summary of the suit, which names Gates, who pulled Elias over, as well as Sergeant Angelina Hill and the city of Loveland, the LPD has a pattern and practice of wrongfully arresting innocent people for DUI money and sport. The complaint reflects just at the beginning of an investigation into the rotten culture of competition and one-upsmanship that permeates the Loveland Police Department and which has left a wake of victims just like Mr. Elias. Innocent, law-abiding people, including Lyft drivers, veterans, the disabled, the elderly, whose lives were wrecked by wrongful and reckless DUI arrests by LPD officers, she adds, on extremely incomplete records. We have identified over 20 wrongful DUI arrests in a 2-year period between just 2 officers. This is only the tip of the iceberg. The complaint later stated that in 2019, Gates initiated 1,622 traffic stops, while the average total number of stops from other LPD patrol officers working similar shifts in 2019 was 200 to 400 a year. It also included that 1,352 of the drivers he pulled over, 84% of stops, were let off with just a warning. The complaint also included 20 instances from other residents claiming that they were wrongfully arrested. The complaint adds the ones listed were just some of arrests made by Hill and Gates. While all cases referred to each person only with initials and no full names, stories mirrored what Elias went through in early 2020. Schilke said the names used in the suit were gained from a records request made to the LPD, and out of respect for each person's privacy, she did not include their full names, with the exception of one person. Another person, identified as KS, was pulled over by Gates September 30th, 2019. The complaint claims Gates said he could smell alcohol coming from the vehicle and that KS had 6 out of 6 clues of impairment, and he blew a 0.042 on a preliminary breath test. He was arrested for DUI. He submitted to another breath test at the station on a certified machine and blew a 0.028. A blood test later showed no impairing substances, and the DA's office dismissed the DUI charges, the complaint claims. The complaint goes on to say that Chief Bob Ticer and the LPD had a history of giving awards and recognition for high DUI arrests, including reporting the arrest numbers to agencies like Mothers Against Drunk Driving. This includes several pictures of Facebook posts showing Gates or Hill being awarded for their DUI enforcement work. The complaint adds that the LPD often posted about their victories in these absurd arrest competitions on social media, continually reaffirming to all Loveland police officers that DUI arrests are valued over all else, especially citizens' constitutional rights. LPD has obtained hundreds of thousands of dollars of grant funding for themselves as a result of their DUI arrest numbers, the complaint said. They have used this funding to buy themselves more equipment and hire more officers. With more equipment and more officers, they are able to make more arrests and then point to those arrest stats as proof of rising crime levels that they then proclaim requires more funding, equipment, and officers to solve. Without intervention, this self-serving scam will continue, in the wake of innocent citizens whose lives are destroyed by it will continue to grow.